Hey, everybody. This week I wanted to talk about something a little bit different, kind of on the same theme, though. With the weather changing the way it is, be it the heat or the storms that have been coming through, they're going to cause issues with the power supply going into your home. Right? If you're off grid, that's wonderful. You'll be able to just ride out whatever's going on. But if you're not, like most of us, or if you've got just some external power, there are certain things that you need to think about should the lights go out. And one of those is, when does it go out, right? Because power outages are never considerate. They don't go out in the middle of the day when, okay, might be a little warmer, so you don't need to worry about your heat and things like that. No, they go out whenever. But being able to get to your circuit breaker box to check to make sure that it's not just you that are out, or to see if something popped, or to get up and down stairs, right? You've heard me talk before about these little LED lights that they make. They're motion sensor. The thing I do not like about them is the ones that I have right now do not have any kind of light sensor on them. They don't seem to come on, at least one set that I've got doesn't seem to come on when it's bright out. And that, I'm not sure if that's because it's got a light sensor in it or just because the brightness triggers it to not see the motion quite as well. I'm not sure which. It's possible, depending on how they've got it in there, that the extra light's throwing that off. Don't know. But there's other things that you can do to make your house feel a little more livable when this type of stuff happens. One thing to consider is a string light of some kind. Now, they make a accent light for the back of a television set. You may have seen ads for these things, right? Where the mood in the movie changes and the lighting in the back changes to match the mood, all that kind of junk. But you don't have to get the TVs with that in the background. They make the light strips. And the light strips allow you to change the color and things like that, and change the brightness. But let's say you've got a handrail on a staircase, right? There's probably space underneath there. People don't usually grip all the way around, right? And you put one of these strips underneath. They're adhesive-backed strips. They're LED lights. And you can use them to make an accent if you want to set a mood in the house, for example. Or you can just push the cable attached to it off to the side, right? So that the lights are just there. Then you could use anything, including a one of those packs that they make to recharge your phone, and use that as the power source. It just has to be USB-A. And you can plug in your lights to that, hit the little button on the remote. You will have to have a battery in the remote, unfortunately. But that will allow the light to turn on. And from what I've seen, once you've turned on the light, though, if you pull the power from it, it'll remember that it was on and it'll turn back on again for you. But what that'll allow you to do is have light in a very critical spot, right, on your staircase. Now, these are not attractive looking. It looks like a white strip of tape, basically, with these little LEDs stuck to it. So it's not protected from damage, and it's unattractive. But there's a lot of places in your house that you could probably put this where people wouldn't notice, or you won't notice that it's there, and yet it'll still be able to be useful should the power go out. One way to do it, if you've got stairs that overhang a little bit, who looks underneath the overhang of the stair, right? The stair comes out from the wall, overhangs a little bit, nobody looks there. You could put these strips along under there. Now, the downside to that, of course, is you'll see it from the outside as you're walking up the stairs. You might, depending on how your stairs are set up, but you could run it along there. There's other places that you could run it, like on the top of a wall. For example, near where your circuit breaker is, you could actually run it around your circuit breaker box, right? So that when you need to, not facing you, obviously, But when you need to have light there to go check the breakers, you could just carry one of these little units and plug it in. Now, the unit I've got, don't know if they still make them or not. They used to back when I got it. It's a solar charged battery pack. It's got the USB connections on it, but it also has a flashlight. So in a power outage, I can just grab that, turn on the light, and now I have, like I said, a portable power. So if I wanted to go check on the circuit breaker box, and there's not enough light coming out of the lights, or they're too small, I could plug it into one of these strips and have a lot more light to work with. And there's other places you could use these as well. But again, this particular strip that I found is not attractive. It's not expensive either. And the only thing you have to deal with other than the strip itself is the USB cable that comes off of it with the little controller on it. So it's something to think about to add to your collection of things around the house. Other things to think about is what other ways where you have flashlights, right? Portable rechargeable flashlights that can be mounted at someplace. Now, again, all these things could damage a house aesthetic, let's put it that way, but you can always put one in a closet, right? Mounted to the closet door. So you don't have to hunt around in the closet for it. All you have to do is pull that closet door open, and there's your mounted flashlight. And that'll help you get around your room. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of these things do not have a motion sensor with a light on them. So you have to keep recharging these strips because they're going on during the day when you don't really need them to. But I'm sure there's ones out there that do. Used to have actually I've got one that still works. It had 3 little LED lights in it. Used to take it camping with me. Not only does it have a motion sensor on it and a light sensor on it, so it didn't just turn on, so it wasn't constantly turning on in my tent. It's a magnetic mount. That's how it mounted to the tent. I could put a piece of metal on the other side and snap it right to the outside of the tent. But the other advantage it had to it was a ball shape at the bottom that could be directed. So something like that is not, like I said, necessarily a pretty looking thing, but it won't turn on and burn your battery when you're not needing it, right? In this case, it takes AAA batteries to run it. So you got the small batteries in there. You have to replace the batteries, so you have to keep an eye on that. They're not rechargeable like the other strips, but it's an LED. It lasts for a very, very long time, especially with just the only 3 lights in it. It doesn't give you enough light to really work with, but it gives you enough light to see where you're going. And that's the important thing when you're walking around the house. Now, the strips that I've got that have these, the strips that I bought that are rechargeable, unfortunately, or fortunately, put out a lot more light than I need, which means they drain a little bit quicker, but that's okay. But they're perfect for putting something like that around your breaker box, right? Your breaker box is probably not something you go to very often. Unfortunately, they are magnetically, they have a magnet on the back, but you don't want to stick it to the box itself because now the light's coming towards you as opposed to the other way around. You want it aimed toward the box. And there isn't enough room usually in a breaker box for you to mount it to the door unless you leave the box open all the time. So you can't mount it to the door and close the box, unfortunately. But this would give you a little bit of extra light to see what those breakers look like and to see how things are going on. So if you're close enough to your neighbors to see, you would want a light that would get you to your window so that you can see out to see if it's affecting anybody else. You'd want lights to get you to a bathroom, right? To get you up and down stairs. So think about the areas in your house where you would need light. Now, some people have a basement, They're breaker boxes in the basement. So you got to make sure that you've got a way to get to the basement and get down the basement to go check on your breaker box. And that applies even when it's daylight outside, because some basements are just not that bright. Got those little windows in there, they don't help a heck of a lot. So keep that in mind. Lay out your house and where things are and where you would have to go. And then take a look at where you would put some of this stuff. Buy one or two of them, right? See how much light they give you. How much of the area that you have to traverse is this going to cover? If you have, for example, the ones on a stair railing or going underneath the stair railing, if you can do that, they might just illuminate the stairs. Now, those type of stair railings that I'm thinking about are the ones that are attached to the wall, right? That the stairs are attached to, so that it's going to hit the stairs, and it may give you enough light to go beyond the stairs, but concentrated on the stairs. Other railings are on the outside of the stairs, so a railing out there, if you could mount something like this to it, would give you light both for the stairs and beneath the stairs, so you could go down the stairs and turn the corner, for example. The important thing is trying these out and seeing how much light you're going to be able to get from them, and see how much you can, how far you can go. For example, you might need just one of the strips that I talked about over your staircase going down to the basement, and that might be more than enough for you to see all the way down the stairs to the basement, depending on how long your stairs are. Some of them are very sharp and very steep, and others have a much longer gradient to it, but this should cover you in both cases. Make sure that you have them obviously turned away from where you are going to be walking. So if you're walking toward the staircase, you want the light facing the staircase, not facing you. So if you're facing one side of the staircase when you walk to it, put it on the other side so the light's hitting the opposite wall and you can get down the stairs easily. But if it's not the brownouts from everybody turning on air conditioning and things in the heat, or the storms that come through, because remember, even the storms don't bring down trees. Some trees are not trimmed in certain areas, and the tree hitting the power line can cause an issue in and of itself. Just the branches rubbing on the power line can cause issues over time. So make sure that you've got a good plan for where in your house these lights could go. And then you'll need a plan for charging them, right? If most of these strip lights now have a USB charger. It's a USB-C on the strip itself. So you need something that's going to plug into that USB-C. And you could use, you could just take them down, because most of them, these ones that I've got are magnetic on the back. Even if you mount it to the wall, you're putting two metal strips into the wall and screwing those into place, so it's actually attaching to the metal strips and not attaching to the wall, so it makes it easy to take down and put back up. And take a look around and see what you want to try out. Again, if you want to try one of these out, you don't have to make it a permanent fixture, right? You just put it in the area you want it to be and see what the light looks like with the lights out, and hold it in place. And then see where it is, move it around to see how it's going to work best for you, and then see how you want to mount it. Again, if your power is out, do you have a way to get to your vehicle? Right? What's that going to look like? If you need to get out of the area for whatever reason, a bad storm, or you just need to go out and get some food or hit a bathroom up, what is it going to take for you to get out of your house and get to your car? Are you going to be able to do that easily? Maybe you need a clip-on light, as opposed to having any kind of walkway lights or anything in your house, depending on if it's attached garage or not. Maybe a clip-on light is just something you keep by the door, so that when you have to go out to the car or something like that, you put it on, turn it on, and you can easily get to your vehicle. Also consider the fact that if the power's out and you come home, and the power was out when you came home, and you pull your car in, you're now in the dark. How are you going to see to get from the car back in the house? Every car should have a flashlight in it. I know I violate that most of the time too, but always keep a flashlight in your glove compartment just in case. It'll help you out in all kinds of situations. But that's what I got for you this week. Lights. Find some way to put up some strips, either the ones that are all self-contained or these ones that have a USB-C cord off of them that you'll plug in and have to power, and have some power sources for those, obviously. I've got one that handles my hallway. I had it framed around something, so when the power goes out, it's attached to a small EcoFlow backup system. The power strip that it's on is attached to that. So there's a couple of devices in there. That gives me another 3 USB charging ports on it, plus the 4 that are already on the EcoFlow itself. So that keeps my phones charged, and it keeps lights going. When the power goes out, that unit takes over, powers the strip that powers the lights and a couple of other small devices like my weather station and my Wi-Fi, and that allows me to keep going, see up and down the hallway, and have a couple of other options while things are out. And that's another thing to consider for your house, obviously, is something a little more than just battery backups for charging your phone. Because again, if the power goes out and you aren't leaving your house, you have to have a way to charge your phone up, and running your car just to charge your phone with the cost of gasoline at this point is kind of insane, and trying to do it without running your car could drain your battery. So keep all that in mind, keep yourself safe, and I will talk to you guys next week.